So let's see how we can use the else keyword and the if else, rather, the if else keywords to write a program that takes a dual alternative decision. Okay. And in this slide, we want to write a program that takes two numbers, let's say integers, okay, takes two integers and prints the smaller of those two integers. Okay. So whichever is the smallest, I'll print that. That's it. Simple, right? So before we actually start coding, let's see how this program looks like. Okay? How the flow of the execution of this program would look like. So we will start with the first statement, which will be, I don't know, which will be a equals int input. Int input. Okay, so take the first number from the user and store it into a variable called a. Next, number two. So we do the first one, then we come to the next one. Number two, b equals int input, right? So again, get another number, store in a variable b. Now at this point, we have to make a decision. Okay, we have two numbers, but we only print the smaller number. So the decision is which number to print. Okay, that's the question we want to ask. Which number do we want to print? Do we want to print a, or do we want to print b? Now that decision would be based on some condition, right? What condition will that be? The condition would be, or the condition can be, or the question that I want to ask is a less than b? Now if a is less than b, if this condition is true, I know that a is the smaller number, then I will print a, right? You could also say is b less than a? You could also say is b less than a? Doesn't matter, right? You ask either one of those questions, you will get the answer to your decision, right? You'll reach your decision. So is if b is less than a, then you know that b is smaller. Okay, b is smaller, uh, and you print b. Okay, so let me do this. Let me do the first one, a less than b. But what you do is completely up to you. It doesn't change the outcome of this program. Okay. So the decision I want to take is, that's number three. That's my decision, and the decision is a less than b. That's the decision. Okay. And if the condition, or that's the condition actually, if the condition is true, then print I print a. And if the condition is false, right, I print b. Okay, so that's the tree of our code. Okay, so we do this, we go through this path and then reach a fork. Okay, and you see that these paths never join, but that's completely okay, right? They can join, they cannot, they may not join, completely okay. So at this point we make a decision, and the decision is based on the condition if a is less than b. If a is less than b, then we decide to go this path and print a. If a is not less than b, which means even a is equal to b, right? A is equal to b, or rather, you know what, let's do this. If a is equal to b, right, we take this path. Okay, now just one quick note about the last point that I mentioned. uh, if a is less than b is true, obviously we print a because a is the smallest number, right? The smaller between at least those two. Now if this is false, it can mean two things. Either it can mean either a equals b, or a is greater than b. Now if a is greater than b, obviously b is smaller and we print b. But if a is equal to b, then we can print either a or b, right? So it doesn't matter which one we print, right? If a is 10 and b is 10 as well, and we print 10, right? It doesn't matter that 10 comes from a b or an a. It doesn't matter, right? So that's why this condition sort of works. Okay. All right, so let's see the code. Now, as you know, that else is again sort of like if, but you need an indentation, right? You need an indentation, just like an if. So line one, I would just say print two numbers. That's, or let's call it line zero. Okay, so line zero, print two numbers because it's not really necessary. Line one, x equals int input line 2, y equals int input, right? So I've entered two numbers, and this is where I make that decision, right? I check that condition if x is less than y, and based on this condition, I either go to line 4 or go to line 6. Okay, so again the tree looks like 0 first, right? 0, and then 1, 0, 1, 2, right? At 3 we have to make a decision at 3. That's what the for case, right? And if x is less than y, right, if this is true, then we go to 4, and if it's not true, then we go to 6, right? So that's how our program looks like.